Good morning, Year 5. I hope you had a great weekend and are ready to start our writing lesson today. We are going to be writing our plan for our warning tale. Our first job today is to practice our text map. Over the next few slides, Miss Mayhew is going to take you through it. Don't forget to join in with her.
Long ago, on the windy Isle of Berg, a smallish Viking stood shivering up to his ankles in snow. "Pay attention," screamed Gobber. "Every Viking needs to find themselves a dragon. But heed this warning. Stay away from Wild Dragon Cliff." Hiccup, Horrendous Haddock III, hung his head in disappointment and sighed. He desperately wanted a nightmare dragon, but he was forbidden from climbing the cliff. For days, Hiccup searched for a dragon, but although it was forbidden, he felt the Wild Dragon Cliff calling out to him. Squinting, Hiccup gazed upward. A blizzard suffocated the snow-capped summit of the mountain above him. "Am I really going to do this?" he thought to himself. Eventually, Hiccup, who clasped himself for warmth, reached the dreaded dragon's cave. Low rumbling snores rattled his helmet. He swallowed hard. His spine tingled. Terrified, he entered the cave, which was filled with stalagmites, icicles, and dragons. His stomach and bowels churned, causing his heart to pound uncontrollably. At that moment, thunder roared outside, and all of the dragons began to stir. Hiccup, who was shaking with fear, was surrounded by 100 flesh-eating dragons. "How am I going to get out of this one?" he thought to himself. Retreating rapidly to the cave entrance, Hiccup felt sweat trickle down his back. The dragons were closing in on him. Suddenly, Hiccup was dragged violently high into the air. The dragons lashed out at him with their teeth grinding and their talons screeching. Protecting his face, Hiccup and his rescuer twisted and turned and plunged back down the cliff towards Berg. Close to home, Hiccup was thrown to the ground. In front of him was Gobber. His face was bright red and he was spitting with fury. "You could have been killed. You'll be cleaning the weapons from now on," spat Gobber. Despite his punishment, Hiccup felt the egg of the nightmare dragon in his pocket, and he smiled to himself. It was worth it.
Today, you're going to be planning your warning tale. When you're planning your warning tale, you need to remember the elements of both our toolkits. We have our character toolkit, where you need to use things such as relative clauses to add detail to the character. You need to use rhetorical questions as the internal voice of the character, which we did some work on last week. You need to try and use dialogue to portray the characters and action, which again, we used dialogue last week in one of our lessons. You need to try and include dramatic fronted adverbials. Your sentences, you should include a range of different sentences, but short, powerful sentences. Use the setting to describe a character's feelings. Now, if you're not sure about this, we are going to be doing some work on that this week, so don't worry too much if you're unsure. Also, don't forget to include powerful verbs. We also have our SPAG toolkit. These include relative clauses and relative pronouns, such as who, which, and that. Remember, if you're using speech in your writing, you need to use inverted commas. You also need to use fronted adverbials, and these end in ed, ing, or ly in our sentence openers. So your plan is going to be broken down into 5 different paragraphs. The first paragraph is where the main character is warned not to do something. And in our model text, this is where Hiccup is warned to stay away from Wild Dragon Cliff. In our second paragraph, this is where the main character ignores the warning that they are given. And in How to Train Your Dragon, this is where, although it is forbidden, Hiccup desperately wants a nightmare dragon, so he ignores the warning and climbs Wild Dragon Cliff. In paragraph 3, in your story, something needs to go wrong. In How to Train Your Dragon, this is where the thunder roars outside and the dragons begin to stir. And then all of a sudden, Hiccup is surrounded by 100 flesh-eating dragons. In paragraph 4, your main character has to overcome the problem by themselves or they're rescued. And this is where Hiccup is dragged violently high into the air, and Hiccup and the rescuer twist and turn and plunge back down the cliff. So Hiccup is rescued. And in your final paragraph, this is where the main character is told off for ignoring the warning. This is where Gobber punishes Hiccup with cleaning the weapons from now on. So where are you with this learning intention? You're not all going to be working at the same place. If you're working at one idea, I don't want you to use the boxing up grid, the plan template. I want you to use the text of How to Train Your Dragon. And you're going to go through the text, you're going to read through it, maybe read it out to an adult. And I want you to just cross out and change the name of the main characters. So Hiccup, change that name. Gobber, cross that out and change that name. Or change the setting, so where the action is taking place, change that. You don't have to do both. If you're working at few ideas, you are going to use the plan template, the boxing up grid. You're still going to use the How to Train Your Dragon plot, and you're going to write out the plan, but changing the name and the setting. If you're working at Relate, you're still going to be using the How to Train Your Dragon plot. And I'd like you to change the character, the warning, and the problem or danger that they came across.